Hello, Dune fans and movie fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial, and this is another edition of my life. And today we have a very special stream for you guys. We are finally going to be talking about Dune Part 2, the newest science fiction blockbuster that came out this past weekend. Or a couple weekends ago, I forgot. But it came out recently. We're finally going to be talking about Dune Part 2. And joining with me today, I'm really excited to have this man on. For those of you who are long viewers of MME / my channel, you recognize this guy. I'm so glad that he's back. One half of the Ellen and Bread crew, we have Bradley. What is going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, everybody?
I'm happy that you're back. I'm glad to have you here.
Me too.
About Dune. Yeah, it's so great. How have you been, man? Like, let's talk to the people, because it's been a minute since we've heard from you, since we've seen you on the stream, anything, period. How are things with you, bro?
Well, as Moadib would say, I traveled to the south, and I reclaimed my jihad. I am back to reclaim what is mine. No, I'm just kidding. No, but no, I've been doing good. Me and Austin have been doing really good. He says to say hello to UDL and hello to everyone else too. We're gonna be coming back in some way pretty soon. So yeah, that'll be exciting because I do miss talking about some stuff and just being involved with movie talk. It's fun. Should be fun.
For sure. I have seen Austin pop up on the Poindexter Lounge not too long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm very excited for you guys to slowly get back into movie discussions for sure. As always, Max is supposed to be here, but he's late. You guys know.
How are you, Max? The hell, man?
He said he wants to do it tonight too, and I'm like, "Where are you at, bruh?
Maybe he'll Dune."
Yeah, I know it's Dune. Like he was hyped coming out of it too, so I'm sure he was excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it was exciting hearing his how he liked it, because I know he didn't. He's not. I don't think he's like really aware of Dune that much. Right. So it's nice hearing like some people that, especially like Austin didn't really know anything about Dune. And so it was really nice to see some people that, because that was my big concern. First of all, with even the first one, I was like, I want to see this, and I'm really interested in this. But will people come to the theater to see like the next one, like any other big movie like Barbie or Oppenheimer or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah. So he'll come in later on if he wakes up from his nap, but either way, we're gonna have a really good discussion here tonight. So let's not waste any more time. Let us get into Dune. And from this point forward, we got to remind the viewers out there, obviously, that this is a spoiler-filled discussion. We're going to be talking about this film as if you've already seen it. So if you have not seen Dune Part 2 and you don't want to know anything about it, go watch it in the theater. and come back and listen to this. So you have been warned. I'll say from the get go, it's worth seeing in the theater. Like if you are,
Absolutely.
especially if you saw the first movie in the theaters, even with it being day and date on Max, like even I think it's worth the theatrical experience for sure. See it on the biggest screen possible, like you get the best experience possible because it's definitely something you got to see at the movie theater with the crowd because
Absolutely. There's many times I was sitting there shaking just because the sound was just like, oh. Well, not just like I'm not physically shaking. My seat was shaking. Like it was that loud.
right, it's like you didn't even need. I know they have like those D box seats that shake the
Yes.
seats or whatever. You don't even need that. I was like in a
No.
regular theater and like those seats were already shaking from the sound quality for sure.
It's the sound design in that film. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Oh, and speaking of Austin earlier, he is here in the chat. What is going on, my guy?
What's up, man? What's up, babies?
Yes, I'm excited.
Out there working.
Yeah, out there working. Yep. Cool, cool, cool. Glad you can come on. Glad you can come on. So, I will be 100% transparent with you guys. I am not 100% prepared. This was an impromptu stream. If you guys have watched the MME stream last night, like we just decided to do this stream tonight. So it's like I didn't even have a chance to see the movie twice. Like, so I'm really going off of muscle memory of what I saw. For the most part, I remember what happens, but like I definitely think we have to revisit this film like to get more into it, like a really in-depth analysis of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least I want to get our thoughts out there because I know this is like the big, like this has been a really big movie that people have been talking about the past few weeks. So at least wanted to get my thoughts out there. So I did not get. Oh, what's up, Ruby? What's up, Ruby? How you doing? Good to see you, sir. So I did not get a chance to review the first Dune. Which is once again, I'll probably go back and like do like a big mega analysis of the first and second movie since pretty much this feels like I feel like part one and part two is like just one big movie.
Yeah.
So for the first movie, I enjoyed the first movie. I liked it quite a bit. Going into it, I didn't know that much about Dune. I never read the books.
Me too.
And according to fans of the books, it's like one of the most influential science fiction novels ever made, and it has influenced a lot of science fiction films and science fiction properties in general. It came from Dune, which I'm surprised that Dune is not like talked about as much as it should if it's influenced so many things, especially Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I was interested to see how they were going to adapt this for a modern audience. I was aware of the David Lynch movie and the sci-fi miniseries, but I never saw those. So these new versions of the film, this is my first exposure to Dune. Denis Villeneuve. I know a lot of people love Denis Villeneuve, and a lot of people saying that he's probably one of the best directors working today. I definitely respect him as a filmmaker, but he's personally not my favorite. I've had some issues with Denis Villeneuve in the past as far as his films. I've seen Arrival, and I wasn't really blown away with that. And then I saw a little bit of Sicario, and it put me to sleep. I'm going to be very honest. And then I saw Blade Runner 2049, and I didn't care for that either. But what I will say, even though I haven't really cared for his films, I definitely think from a direction standpoint, cinematography, scope, he definitely has an eye for that stuff. Like,
yeah. Have you seen Prisoners?
I have not seen Prisoners. No.
I think Prisoners is probably because I don't think he's made a bad film. I'm not really a big fan of Blade Runner in general. So 2049 didn't really like blow me away, or I mean, it's a really well shot film, and the cinematography is beautiful, but I'm just not a big fan of Blade Runner at all. And Arrival, I thought it was good when I saw it, but I'm not really a big fan of it.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Blade Runner either. Like, I never really understood the. Is there really even hype with it? Because like, it's really a cult hit, to be honest. And I'm
Yeah,
even surprised they even
yeah.
made a sequel.
I think it has a big cult sci-fi following. Like, it's pretty big, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And no, and people
Not my
still
thing.
end up seeing it. but yeah. One of my biggest issues with Denis Villeneuve is his his slow pacing. Like, he has a big issue with pacing, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but like, it seems to be a consistent thing with me. Like, he's a very slow, methodical, cerebral director, and like, he takes his time trying to build stuff up, which in my opinion I feel like he doesn't need to. And like, I've seen that be a pattern with all the films I've watched from him. Like, he has
Mhm.
a similar thing with pacing. Like, he's very slow, very methodical, and very like, his tone and structure feels very cold and distant. I don't know if you felt a similar thing with his direction, but at least that's how I felt. So going into this, like, he was going to be the main person, helming these movies. I was interested to seeing what he was going to do with it. I wasn't like over the moon about it, but I was like, he does have an eye for sci-fi, and I'm sure a lot of people will be excited to see this. For people that don't know anything about Dune, it definitely will get people to go see it because he's directing it. And they're going to split it into two parts, and it blows my mind to this day that why they didn't film both parts back to back. Which part of me understands it, because Dune is such a new property, and they want to see how the first part goes before
Yeah.
they fully invest in the second part. But if like they're already being like, it's going to be part one, part two, like, say the first film didn't succeed, like, they were just
Well,
going to
I
part
don't think it made.
or something. I don't know.
I don't think the first one made a lot of money. I think it made its budget back, but I don't think it broke even necessarily. But I think it did well on HBO Max.
Yeah.
But so I think they got well. I think everyone got screwed in the pandemic, especially Dune did. But I think that, and it's weird because that movie was delayed, I think, a year, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And this one was delayed, I think, maybe twice, and it benefited. I think the delays benefited Dune coming out in March, because I mean, people, are clamoring to see it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. So when the first movie came out, a lot of people really enjoyed the first film. Which was a surprise to me, because once again, like, doing a little more research on what Dune is, like, Dune is not the typical science fiction, like, blockbuster, like, yes, it influenced a lot of things like Star Wars and stuff like that, but it was never really Star Wars. Like, it was trying to be the antithesis of Star Wars. It's more of a slow, thought-provoking, like, more adult themed science fiction property. And so, like, part of me was kind of concerned that, and after the first two attempts with David Lynch's movie and the miniseries, like, are people really going to be invested enough to see like this big budget Dune film? I mean, yes, it's a star-studded cast and stuff like that, and Denis Villeneuve is behind it, but it's just like, is this a property that will appeal to the mainstream? And the first film, surprisingly enough, apparently it did. And so yeah, they continued on to do part two, As you said, it was delayed a couple of times because of the writers and actors strike we were dealing with at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But with the hype with the first movie, I had no doubt that it was going to make more than the first film because everyone loved the first movie, and so just building up the hype with this film, I'm sure it was going to make money. Now, did I think it was going to make like 700, 800 million dollars at the box office? I don't think so, because once again, this is still a relatively new property, and it's not going to appeal to everybody. But
yeah, film wise,
yeah, film wise, yeah, exactly. But like to my surprise, once again, not only did people love this part 2, but everyone's saying that this is one of the best science fiction films ever made. Like people were comparing it to Empire Strikes Back, Godfather Part 2, Terminator 2, Aliens, all the great sequels. They're putting it on that level, and it's like I have never seen a movie this hyped before since like Top Gun Maverick, but even more than that. Like people are going nuts for it. I haven't heard one negative review from this movie, even from people that like read the books and like had some criticisms about some of the change that they made, and I'm sure you have similar thoughts as well. But everyone walking out of this being like, it's a really good film. So I was concerned that this movie was going to get overhyped for me because like there's no way it's that great, right? Like it's like close to a perfect film for a lot of people. I'm like, there's no way. But walking out of it, I see why people think this is amazing. I see why people think this is great. I really enjoyed Dune Part 2. I personally liked it more than the first film, and I think for a lot of people they liked it more than the first film. For the first film, I felt like there was a lot of setup and world building, which in a way, yes, I did think that was necessary, and developing the characters so they didn't have to spend too much time doing that in part 2. So yes, it was a slow build for the first film, but this movie, there was a lot more action. There was a lot more stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. We introduced some more characters. Like this really does feel like the Empire Strikes Back of Dune. And yeah, just I was blown away just from the special effects, the cinematography, the sound mixing, the score, the performances. Like everybody brought it in this film.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
Like even with there was like a couple of people that I was like concerned with in part 1. They were even better in this film. I honestly think that Denis Villeneuve has he did it. He made it. He made a Dune adaptation that the mainstream can enjoy for the most part. Once again, I still don't think this is the movie for everyone. Like I definitely see why they're I could definitely see people not loving this, especially for people that are used to the sensibilities of Star Wars and stuff like that. Because once again, it there is more action and there's there's higher stakes in this and stuff like that. But still, it's still not the typical blockbuster. It's still methodical. It's still cerebral. It's still more adult. It deals with
very complex
themes and stuff like that. But I'm just surprised it worked as well as it did. Now, I don't know if I'm on the train of saying that this is one of the best science fiction films. I have to watch it a couple more times to really let it sit in. But I personally, I did really enjoy this film. But what did you think about Dune Part 2, Bradley? What did you think about? How did this compare to the first movie to you? How deep are you into the books and lore and stuff like that?
I'd say this film exceeded all of my expectations as someone that came into Dune with the first film and started getting into the book with the first film. And I'd say I'm a pretty huge Dune fan just by reading. I finished the first book this week, and I think not finishing it before this film benefited my knowledge, because as I'm finishing it, there's some things that I noticed that they did change a lot. Um, but for the most part, they got the skeleton of what Frank Herbert wrote in this book and what he was trying to convey, with the story of this messianic figure, amongst the Fremen. Because the first film, there was like a lot of things they cut out too, and they changed as well. But I don't think it's there's a lot that they did cut out, but I don't think it's necessary for the film as a whole. My problem is not releasing the deleted scenes, because that doesn't ruin the film that was presented, to us. It's just kind of like an extra appreciation for the story, and it kind of gives you like a tidbit of what it would have been like if it was included.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's all about if the scene is not in the movie, then like it's like he sees no use of people seeing the deleted scenes and stuff like that. He doesn't believe in extended cuts.
Which I get, but like at the end of the day, like there's a lot of films that have deleted scenes that are beloved amongst a lot of the film community, and there's some that should have been in the film, and there's some that it's fine. They're good scenes, but they don't need to be in the final film. If you look at it from an editing perspective and just like a filmmaking perspective, like there's things that are necessary and things that aren't. What my big problem with this movie is yes, I think the pacing is like brilliant, and it's by far superior than the first one, in every way. But the first one, you kind of grow an appreciation for it as a setup film for this, because this one spends no time, pausing to explain to you what the fuck they're saying, or what's going on exactly.
Uh-huh.
But there's some things, like I think this film would have benefited at least 10 minutes of a drag. I think a drag is fine sometimes. I don't think it needs to keep going and going and going. It's beautifully done in this movie, and I don't think nothing's wrong with it at all. But I think maybe you could have benefited 5-10 minutes, kind of slow it down, give some extra scenes that you filmed, especially with Thufir. They filmed some scenes with him, which are pretty essential in the book with Fade Ralpha, because basically in the book, Thufir calculates with Fade that entire gladiator match that you see in the film is basically his big introduction, right? Mm-hmm. Him and Thufir, because Thufir is captured by the Harkonnens from Arrakis, and they don't have a Mentat because Leto killed him in the last film, Mm-hmm. So they capture him and basically make him their Mentat. But Thufir is he knows basically what he's doing, and kind of like calculates them in a corner and makes them do erratic things, which is pretty interesting. He's even there at the final fight with Fade Ralpha and Paul.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, there are some things too. Like, I understand not including Aaliyah. I think Aaliyah, because in the books, for people who don't know, Aaliyah is the one who kills the Baron. She's captured by the Emperor, and the Sardaukar kill Paul Atreides and Chani have a son too, named Leto 2. Mm-hmm. No, I don't think it's Leto 2. I think it's just Leto.
I think isn't it Leto the second, because naming after his father. Right?
Yeah, I think there's another Leto that comes in Children of Dune.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure, because I don't know their names. It's Leto or Leto 2. I'm not sure. Yeah. But he's killed by the Sardaukar and the Harkonnens. And that's what kind of like sends Paul into the rage too, of like no mercy.
Yeah, right.
Which I don't think it's necessary to have in the film though.
Mm-hmm. I do want to highlight this real quick, especially because Ruby Groovy is like, for those of you who follow my channel, he's like a huge Star Wars fan, and you've seen him. He's reviewed every Star Wars project with me. And like I never talked to him about Dune specifically. So he says he gives the first Dune a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10, and he gives part two an 8.5 or a 9. And I'm surprised he gave, because I was really wondering how he would think about it being a big Star Wars fan. Like, how would this appeal to him? So that's interesting to know. And then he says Villeneuve is very cinematic, visual director. If you like the visuals and films, Villeneuve is right up your alley. I saw 2049 in theaters, and it was pretty good as a movie, but visually stunning. And yeah, he agrees that part two is a great sequel. So that's interesting to know that a Star Wars fan still could enjoy Dune, and he probably saw the influences of Star Wars in this film for sure. Because I'm definitely seeing a bunch of like inspirations, like, oh yeah, yep, the Star Wars copied that, Star Wars got that.
Well, it's funny. I did mention that the other day. It is funny, like kind of watching the full story of Dune, reading the full story of Dune, and then realizing what the prequels and the sequels are. I'm just like, oh, well, it all makes sense. And seeing like the TikTok the TikTok people like have all these edits of Anakin and Paul, it cracks me the fuck up. Because if I won't spoil what he does in Messiah, but the things he does in Messiah are not. You may not like it. Some people may not like it because he's ruthless.
Yep, it's some Anakin Skywalker vibes for sure.
Yeah, times a million.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit, tiny bit about the ramifications of Messiah if it gets greenlit. Most likely it's going to get greenlit because it's doing pretty well at the box office and everybody loves it. But so yeah, you talked about earlier that there are some details that quite a bit of details that they cut from the book. At least from what I hear from people that have seen the David Lynch movie and the mini series, is that they kind of do a better job explaining the overall world and the different houses and stuff like that, because that's something I specifically wanted from part one, because you talked a little bit about that earlier, is that they just drop you into this world and they don't really explain like what's going on. They just like, this is a thing, this is what's established, just go with it, which in some aspects I can respect, but I think, especially with part one, because it was, that's supposed to be the setup, I would have liked for them to break down more like the different houses and the Emperor of the Universe and like the guild and all that other stuff, because like for people that don't know anything about Dune, like I just would like to know more of how this world works. Like I have a general idea of it and I can follow the plot fine. Like I know what the conflict is, I know what the motivations are for the most part, but just like that's what's keeping it from me saying that this is one of the best science fiction films ever made, because like I'm feeling a disconnect because I don't know. It feels like I can't fully appreciate these movies because I haven't read the books, and I feel like they're not doing quite enough for everybody to understand how this world works.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Especially because, like, as I said, the concepts in these movies and the heavy themes and just the straight up weird shit that happens in these movies, it's like it's just so off-putting and it's so strange, and it's just like it would just help to just for them to just break down like how their system stuff works. I don't know. Just like, because like even like spoilers, we're in spoiler territory. Like the fact that Rebecca Ferguson's character, the baby in her womb is is talking to her via telepathy, and it's just like, wow, what what is going on right
It's
now?
creepy.
And it's like talking to like that's like that's Paul's like sister and stuff like that. It's like, and like also talking to Paul, being like, your destiny will come. We must influence the Fremen to follow Paul, because that is his destiny and stuff like that. I'm like, this is some weird shit going on. And once again, they're not explaining anything. They're just like, this is happening. Go with it. Just like,
Yeah, I feel like they should have done a better job, because in the book they kind of allude to the fact that there's a theory amongst some Fremen and amongst some people of Arakeen, that the Ben Gesserit visited Arrakis a long time ago, and they implanted this prophecy amongst the Fremen, and because that's something they didn't address as much in the film too, is that the Ben Gesserit literally are manipulating breeding amongst the galaxy. And something else too is that Fade Routha, if Jessica, obeyed the Ben Gesserit by bestowing them a daughter, as she was supposed to, that daughter was supposed to mate with Fade Routha to birth the quote-unquote Kwisatz Haderach, which is something they don't really explain much in the film either.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like I was wondering about that too, because because Fade, I guess it is alluded that Fade procreated with this character, like Lady Margaret, and
Yes.
I'm like, oh wait, what?
Oh yeah, that character plays a part in. I don't think I'm not sure if he's in Messiah, because I'm reading it right now, but I know he shows up. And some other characters that have died amongst the films show up in multiple of the books. So if they get that far, you're going to see some people come back.
Yeah. So wait, like Fade was supposed to be in Messiah and the other books?
No, so Fade's son with
Fade's son.
No,
okay.
Fade's daughter, because they have a daughter.
Fade's daughter. Okay.
With Lady Fenrir.
Yeah.
And that's another character that was cut out, is her husband, Count Fenrir, which is he plays a part in the final battle with Fade too. He's kind of there. He's like the Emperor's best friend of childhood, and he plays a pretty prominent presence.
Okay. So, like I said, yeah, they lightly touch in the film about the Bene Gesserit procreating across the galaxy, and obviously Paul was not part of the plan. Her mother was not supposed to conceive a son, and obviously they already established that the Bene Gesserit doesn't trust Paul because of having the powers of the Bene Gesserit, because it's typically for females, and like also since he's about to take over the throne after Leto, so just worried about him becoming consumed with power and stuff like that. So yeah, they lightly touch on that, but yeah, they could have like dove more into like the Bene Gesserit procreating with the are they just trying to procreate with like the just the main houses, or like just everywhere?
So they're basically trying to procreate with like amongst all houses, basically. Like they're trying to create the quote unquote most powerful, the Kwisatz Haderach, which is the one who can be at two places at once, which is it's not really explained much in the books, really. Like they can be in the future. They can see the past. They can read your body. They can tell when you're lying. They can tell ambitions. Like if you're plotting against him, there's a character in Messiah that I won't say who, but there's a character in Messiah who is tasked by the Ben Gesserit to betray Paul, and to do something to him. And the second she walks in the door, he knows exactly what exactly she's been up to. Like she's been tasked with something. He doesn't know exactly what. So the Kwisatz Haderach is their legendary being, essentially. Which Aaliyah is essentially the actual Kwisatz Haderach, not Paul.
Okay.
It's very complex.
Yeah, you just explaining that a little bit. I'm like, wow.
Like, yeah, it's a lot. I recommend reading the book. I really do.
For sure. Like, which once again is just like, I'm just shocked, like how well received these movies are. Like with just all these weird concepts and just like that's going on. And it's not even everything.
No.
Of course you just woke up, Max. We'll get your butt on here then.
Get on here, old man.
But so to get more into the characters, I gotta say Timothée Chalamet really surprised me in this. Yeah. I did like him in the first movie, but like I'll be honest, like I'm sure with with a lot of people, like I like Timothée Chalamet as an actor, but I never was like on the hype train for him. Like there hasn't really been that one role where I'm like, oh wow, he was amazing, right? I saw him in Wonka before this, so that's like the most recent thing I saw him in. He actually was pretty good in that.
What an interesting parallel, though.
Right, exactly. Go from Wonka to this, like it's nuts. I still think he was miscasted as Willy Wonka, but I did think he did a good performance with that. He showed me a range that I haven't seen from him before.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
And with this, like, I'm fully into him now. Like, he was so good in this movie. Just like him, he has such a commanding presence in this film.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I was concerned about with him being, the main lead of this film, because like we're just seeing such range from him that I haven't seen before. Like once again, like him being able to command a room with thousands of people and just like getting that bass in his voice that I did think he had too. So it's just like he was intimidating, he was strong, he was sympathetic, like all around, I was really blown away by him.
I go as far to say his performance was pretty terrifying. Like just as seeing him as a young boy, because it's conveyed in the books a lot more. I don't know. He's more brutal and he's more ruthless in the books, but this did a great job. He did a great job at conveying the brutality of Paul's journey and essentially Jessica and him abusing the Fremen to gain power, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so like you talk about Paul being more brutal in the books, like that's one of the things be concerned about them going forward if they continue with going through the books, like because like they had to, because like I said, the audience is used to having that typical hero's journey that we feel some sort of sympathy or empathy for the main protagonist, so we actually care about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like even in this movie, like there was just a looming thing of something doesn't feel right with him taking over with the Fremen, and like as you said, her and Lady Jessica manipulating people to follow him. Like that's not like the typical thing that like has you like rooting for a hero or protagonist, you know. Um, and like what was kind of saving it for a little bit was that, you know, he he didn't, you know, want to become the Messiah, you know, because he wants power. He's using that to as an end to a mean, you know,
Yeah,
because the Harkonnens, you know, killed his family and stuff like that. So it's like there's the motivation there you can get behind, you know, because he killed his, you know, the Harkonnen killed his family. So it's like you
his
want to
father.
see
Yeah.
him get revenge and stuff like that. But like Lily, that's like the only thing that's like keeping Paul from being a villain in this, or like becoming like an Anakin Skywalker level character. Because as I said, we see the parallels with Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars. We see where they got the influences here, um, which is like just like with him just slowly becoming into power. And you brought up he was terrifying. I definitely felt that in moments, and especially like when he was doing that speech in that one cave with the thousands of Fremen
Oh
there. Like
God, yeah.
that was a that was a pretty scary
The
scene for
his
sure.
his entrance too, with the sandworm behind him, and with all of the thousands of Fremen there, and he's like walking amongst them. Jessica, like that's probably one of the best scenes in the film. It's just, oh my God.
Hmm.
Like, I know a lot of people, because I was one of these people that was like, Timothy Chalamet is like, you know, he's good looking. I'm sure he's a great actor. I didn't see much of him. I heard a lot of buzz about him. I just had no interest in watching much of the films he did. I wasn't into a lot of indie or smaller films. So I watched Call Me by Your Name, and I thought then that he was probably like one of the greatest actors. I'd say
I
he's
still need to see that.
it's it's a creepy movie, but it's really good. But I'd say me and Austin has said this, and I think I would agree that he's probably this generation's DiCaprio, just that good of
I
an
can
actor.
see that. I can see that. I think he needs a little more. He needs a little more films under his
Yeah,
belt, but I definitely
absolutely.
think he can become that. You know, the new the DiCaprio for this generation. Um, but yeah, man. Um, okay, so I'm interested to hear what you thought about Zendaya as Chani.
I thought she was actually really good. Like, I know that a lot of people have problems with Zendaya and like to dog on her. Um, but in Euphoria, I think that's where she shines as a great actress. And in this, I thought she really stuck out in this. In the first one, you know, she's not meant to be. She's not meant to be there, because she's not there in that part of the book and the story
Hmm.
in general. But this is her movie. Like, this is really her movie.
Yeah, she's definitely she is the co-star with Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah,
Um, and even there's like a good amount of the film where it feels like it's from her point of view as well, which that was refreshing, at least for me, because you know in part one, since I like I said I didn't know what happened in the books, and judging from the trailers, it made it seem like Zendaya was going to be more in the first movie than she actually was. She was just in visions for the most part, and then she appeared in the end. So I was like, I'm glad, you know, she had more of a presence in here. And as I said, as someone who doesn't know how the character is from the books, I'm already a fan of Zendaya. Um,
yeah,
I thought she was really good in this.
it was. It was.
And I really liked the chemistry that she had with Timothy Chalamet.
Oh,
I
absolutely. You know, Tom Holland's in there. Oh.
Man, I know everyone's like Timothy's about to be like Mr. Steal Your Girl or something, but like gotta chill out on it. But
It's funny. It's funny.
it is kind of funny. Um, I will say, I did think that the romance was a little bit rushed, a little bit. Um, it's like he just started like getting, you know, starting to be a part of the Fremen and stuff like that, and she's like showing him some of the ways, and then they just kiss out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, wait, I don't know if that was fully earned yet. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like. They're like I said, they still have good chemistry together, but it's just like I just needed a little bit more time of them bonding, before we're being like, okay, they're already together, you know.
That is true. I think that I don't know if that seems not happen in the books, but they do kind of similarly.
Oh, they don't even bond in the books.
A little bit, but yeah. But something that changed too is I don't know if you remember Jameis from the last film, the guy that he killed when he entered the Fremen, right?
Oh yeah.
So when they reach Stilgar's siege, basically, hey, what's up, Max?
What's up,
Hey,
Max? Late as
sorry
always.
I'm late.
Sorry, go ahead, Bradley.
No, so basically in the books, when they reach Stilgar's siege, Jameis had a wife and kids, and amongst the Fremen, it was their practice that if you killed a man, um, with that type of battle, you take over his wife and kids and where he lived. So he becomes responsible for his wife, and Chani kind of becomes, kind of his, kind of side thing a little bit.
Oh no.
But not necessarily like a side thing, but something that, their romance is something that they have kind of secretly amongst themselves. Like everybody knows that he loves Chani and he has no interest in Hera. But eventually, by the end of the book, they have Leto, and
Well, I think that definitely would have complicated things if they added that in the movie.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Um,
them changing that.
But Cheney ends up being a side piece anyway. We want to talk about that later.
Yeah.
But but yeah, Max, while you're here, what you already did like a review on it or like a week ago, but you want to give general thoughts on how you felt about part two? We're in spoiler territory now.
I was just amazed at the story of Paul. I didn't know I was gonna like him that much. Like I thought he was a cool character. I thought Dune Part 1 was great. Just seeing where he started this movie, where he ended it, is amazing. I like, and the actor too, Chalamet. I didn't like. I guess I underestimated him a little bit. I was like, okay, he's all right. Everyone talks about him all the time. He
Right.
gave a really strong performance, especially when he's taking control. You like felt it. Some of the scenes where it's not like Braveheart or anything, but that gravitas in his
It felt
in his voice.
Bravehearty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
absolutely.
you wanted to follow him, and then also I know there's all the comparisons to Star Wars and everything, but this isn't like Luke Skywalker. He's not afraid to. He's not a pacifist. He goes for it, and
I
that's
said he
another
was
thing
more like Anakin Skywalker.
yeah. And then Brian's like, "Oh no, I'm not watching again because I don't want to see that."
I
He's
don't want to
thinking
see
it's good.
the comparison.
And I know the people that read the books. I honestly don't know what's going to happen to Paul in the future. Like if he does,
Oh, just wait.
I know. So I don't know if he would go dark. Maybe I don't know. And that's interesting too for the people that read the book that's versus who haven't. Like I don't know. Like and I'm not sure if I would be opposed to that either because it is still different than Anakin. But that's where Brian's
Yeah.
like, I'm out again. I thought I was in, but I'm out again because I don't want to see Anakin's story again. But I don't think it's going that way.
I don't
know.
think it's fully
No.
Anakin. It's not Anakin's story, but it's just there's
No, Paul.
influences.
Paul, I don't think would. Anakin's like Paul Atreides light.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, but yeah,
Oh, and the action sequences and everything is just so epic. I can't wait to see it again. I honestly, I was just like, can I be real? This is a movie you need to see multiple times because my eyes were just like, I couldn't even
Yeah.
blink. I was just like looking at everything, and I kind of missed some stuff. I got to go back and watch it again. Like I'm thinking about seeing it Sunday, but
That's the beauty of
Yeah.
Craig Fraser.
Yeah, like can we just take a minute to appreciate the just like the cinematography, the special effects,
It was
the
beautiful.
score. It is one of the most gorgeous science fiction films I've ever seen. Like I mean I already thought that the first movie it looked like gorgeous in the first movie. Like it actually felt like we were on Arrakis. Like everything just felt so lived in and tangible
Mhm.
and real and bigger than life and it but like this movie just amped it up to an 11, man. Just like from the sandworm scenes, like him riding the sandworms and um the arena battle, like that's probably like my favorite, that's probably my personal favorite sequence in the entire movie is that
Yeah.
that arena sequence. Like I was just like my jaw was dropped to the floor, just like all the stuff that was going on. Like the the if if with all the criticisms I have with Denis Villeneuve, the one thing I cannot criticize is his attention to detail with special effects and the cinematography and just like all the other stuff. Like he's close to James Cameron with attention to detail, and Spielberg.
Mhm.
He's close to that attention to detail, and it's just like all all the all the all the money's on the screen, and like it blows my mind that this movie is less than $200 million.
Really?
In this day and age, yeah.
Each
I didn't
movie,
know that.
yeah, each movie is like less than $200 million, and like
This movie made its budget back within this week. It made its budget back.
yes, and it's like once again, like with like stuff like The Creator, Godzilla -1, and now this, there's no reason for movies to over budget their films if they're able to pull off this with this type of budget. I mean, like the Dune doesn't have like a small budget, but like being able to pull this off and not having to spend like $250 million, $300 million, like man, it's just great. It's just great. And yeah, like the sound mixing, the soundtrack, it was very chilling.
Yeah.
Like the I forget what that in part one when they were doing whatever that chant was with the like I love that shit, man. Like I think that's freaking awesome. Like
Creepy as hell.
It is, man. It's like it's that type of stuff that just like adds to the world building and the mythological like tone that these movies set. Like this is unlike anything I've ever seen in a science fiction film. Even though yes, I do see the influences from other films, but just the way it's presented in these films, it's like it's nothing I've seen before. Like they're able to make it feel like distinctly different. Like this doesn't feel like Star Wars. It doesn't feel like Avatar. It doesn't feel like Aliens. It doesn't feel like Terminator 2. It feels like its own thing, while you do feel the influences that it's inspired, over the years.
Absolutely.
But continuing on with the cast, Javier Bardem, he was great in this movie. I really, really liked him in this. Like he was able to, like in the first movie, once again, like didn't have he was more of setup. Like he didn't have as many scenes. But like in this movie, we're actually getting to see more of his personality. He actually was able to be a little funny in places, which I did not expect, because everybody's like so serious, with the exception of Duncan Idaho. But like, I miss Duncan Idaho. I was sad that he got killed in the first movie.
I won't say much, but you'll see him again.
Yeah, I've heard some like weird things of how he comes back in the other stuff, and I'm like, huh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, I thought Javier Bardem was so good in this movie. Like just once again, just being able to see more of his personality, able to see a little bit of his humorous side in here. I thought it was great, and him like actually being like, it almost felt like he was like the Morpheus of the movie, because like he's the one that believed in the prophecy more than anybody, when all the other Fremen like were like didn't believe in it and whatever, but like he was like the number one person to be like, I believe this stuff, and he sees the signs and stuff like that. So like definitely seeing like some Morpheus vibes in a way. Like, man, there's a lot of stuff that these books influenced, didn't they? Like, it's like I just keep seeing like all the stuff like, oh, they got the Matrix was inspired by this, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
Avatar.
the big Matrix thing is the whole backstory about the machines taking over, because that's where humans got in the first place in Dune. Like, that's something I wish they emphasized more in the movies. Is
Yeah.
that the necessity for mentats? And for those who don't know, those are basically human computers. Like they're,
Oh, yeah, like that guy in the first movie that was like the right
yeah,
hand man to Duke.
yeah,
To
through
the
fear. And
Yeah.
Paul is a mentat too, and I don't think they mention that in the movie. I think they talk about it in the first one, but he is a mentat, and basically mentats were, humans are mutated to be them because machines took over, and so computers and technology like that don't exist. Like the computers and AI and stuff like that, they're not allowed to exist, basically.
That's the thing I was fascinated about because because I did hear my friends and other like reviewers talk about like that detail, which is something that I wish they explored in that as well.
Yeah,
Because like, yeah, even the first movie with Leto's assistant with the eyes rolling back, and he's just like a human computer. I was like, oh, that's really cool. What was up with that? Like, when you don't explain it, just go along with it. So it's just like, yeah, it's just like I would like for it would have been cool to like for them to go in depth with how they were getting. It's kind of like an AI story, I guess, because that's like the popular like theme to explore nowadays. Just coming off
yeah,
the
they
mission.
could change it, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess like in the grand scheme of the story that's presented, it's not really that important. I'm sure it's
No.
probably a different story in the books, or it's not really that important to the main conflict of the story. So I guess they didn't really have to explain it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
in a film perspective, yeah.
yeah. Um, Rebecca Ferguson is Lady Jessica once again. She was great. Her role in this very interesting, very very interesting. Once again, just being like the main manipulator of getting everybody to follow Paul as a messiah, which like I didn't know how to feel about it because once again it's like that overlooming thing of like something doesn't feel right about this because like it feels wrong for her to manipulate everybody, but it's necessary in order to stop the Harkonnens and the Emperor. So it's like I don't know. It's like there's underlying themes of like evil tensions. I mean, evil intentions with that, but it's like it's not. It's like it's so strange. And then once again, the baby in the womb talking to her through telepathy. I'm like, what is going on right now? How'd you feel about that, Max?
Yeah, I have to watch her performance a lot when I see it again as well. Like, yeah, I get what you mean. It's she feels kind of like she's really evil, but she's kind of doing the right thing too. I don't know. It's hard to. And her performance was kind of interesting too. Yeah, that's one I'm gonna follow really close in the second watch for sure. Yeah, I was feeling weird about how she was influencing people to think it was working too. It was that whole thing was cool to see too, and how he really didn't want it, and then how he embraced it too at the end. At least to get at least to do what he felt like he needed to do, he embraced it at the end. That
Yeah,
was also really interesting to see with his relationship, how he didn't want it, and then how he's like, okay, let's do this. That was very interesting.
yeah. It's just so fascinating because like in the beginning of the movie, like it's like they follow like well, other than the stuff with Jessica going on in the background with her manipulating stuff, like you're seeing the typical like development of of Paul learning the ways of the Fremen, and like the Fremen are like they aren't sure about him at first, but like he naturally earns their trust. The more that he practices their ways and stuff like that, and it's like they like that one scene where like he gets his name. Like he has like four different names in this movie. I couldn't even keep up with all of them, but it's like he wanted to name himself after like
Mhm.
a mouse or whatever. Like I forget.
Blood
Like
deep.
yep, exactly. Just like all that stuff. It's like I got Avatar vibes there because it's very similar to that, where it's like Jake Sully is learning the ways of the Navi and stuff like that, and then
Mhm.
earns the trust and stuff like that. So I definitely felt that too. But it's like you see that going on, but then when it eventually leads to like more the manipulation of the Fremen and him getting more of the power of the Bene Gesserit and drinking that forbidden blue water, and it's like and him getting the power that he's not supposed to. It's just like once again, it's just like the looming thing of like I don't know about this, guys. I don't know about it. I like that morally gray area throughout this entire movie. It's like it's so
Yeah,
fascinating. It's so interesting.
that's what's great about Dune too. It's literally it's interesting seeing the the different time periods too that people received Paul as a cool figure, and they didn't really quite grasp what him and Jessica were doing in the book. So Frank Herbert wrote Messiah as an answer, like, "Hey, this is a warning. You're not supposed to like these characters or what they're doing. That they're bad people."
Right, right, right. So it's just like, yeah, I'm just wondering. Like I said, we'll get into the Messiah implications later,
Yeah.
but continuing on with the cast because like we haven't even finished all of them. Okay, so I guess we could talk a little bit more about the Harkonnens. Um, Dave Bautista. I don't. I don't know. I was a little bit. I mean, he wasn't bad in this, but I don't know. I was hoping for a little bit more from him because once again, he's just playing the angry Harkonnen. That's all that he was. He was just the brute, and I know Batista is capable of more than that. You know, because like I've seen him in other things as of late, where he's really starting to like stretch out his acting chops, and in my opinion, he's probably the best wrestler turned actor. You
Oh yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like he's really trying to like expand his roles. He's not just trying to be like the muscle man or like the angry, like scary character. So it's just like with this role, just having him going back to just being the angry muscle character that yells a lot. I don't know. I was a bit let down with that. You know.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. How do you feel about him in this movie?
I'm sorry. Did you were asking me first or Bradley?
I mean, either one,
You
whoever
can go,
wants to.
Max. You
Oh,
can go.
okay. I understand what you mean because he kind of really talked that up. Like all the interviews ahead of time, David teaches like Denny Villeneuve really gave me props and said you're a good actor. I mean, he didn't do bad or anything. It was good, uh, good character. But I guess he just got outshined by others in the Harkonnen like Austin Butler and you know
Yeah.
Oh,
I, I, I think I mean that's part of being a good actor too though if you give him credit for him that way he can't outshine Austin Butler because that's part of his character is he has to fail
Hmm.
right he's
right.
written
He's a
to
coward.
fail
Yeah.
so I mean I guess it's I'll have to I don't want to Kelly come on I don't I hate repeating myself, but I really have to look at his character too. There's so much I have to rewatch again. But yeah, I think he did a good job. Now thinking about it, I could see where you might be a little underwhelmed with his character based on how all the marketing.
Yeah. Um. The Vladimir the Baron once again. Like I, Stellan Skarsgård can't do no wrong, man. Like
He
he
was
was
fantastic. Yeah.
once again just he was so good. Like he just gets lost in that role, man. Like it's so crazy. you know, how he's able to transform into that. Once again, he's just physically looking disgusting and imposing at the same time. Um, and just being able to command a room, like, you know, getting a lot of Emperor Palpatine vibes for sure. But I gotta say, the MVP of this movie, in my opinion, like at least my favorite performance of this entire film, Austin Butler.
Yeah, he was.
Oh
my god.
my god, he was fantastic. This is like, I mean, now granted, I have not seen Elvis yet, and I heard he was really good in that. But honestly, I think this is like his best performance.
Yeah, I think this will be his most known and best performance for a while. I want to see that Bike Riders movie he's in too. He looks good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But dude, it's like, it's so crazy to see how far he's come as an actor, because I remember him all the way back when he was the boyfriend on like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel shows, you know, and just to see him like evolve, you know, as an actor with all these different roles, to have him just be in a Denis Villeneuve Dune film as one of the main villains, and it's crazy. Like, I did not see Austin Butler at all in that performance. He was scary, he was intimidating, he was psychotic, he was a little bit sexy in a weird way. It's like he was able to pull off all of that without it making it feel like it was goofy or too over the top.
Like,
you know?
Sting.
Once again, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know how crazy he is in that. But yeah, I do hear he's pretty ridiculous in that. From what I hear.
It's very over the top. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just everything worked. I already said, like, his introduction in the arena battle, like I said, is like my favorite sequence in the entire movie, and like right from that scene, I was like, I'm already in. He nailed it. I'm already in.
It seems like he could be one of those actors that he's obviously good looking, right?
Yeah.
That really thrives when he could, have some extra tools to go outside his, just his own personality, like change, because he's very disguised with all the prosthetics and makeup and stuff, So I'm interested to see what he'll do in the future too, of what he could do when he's got even more tools than just acting as a character, having all, because there's some people that really shine with that,
Absolutely.
So
For sure.
I'd say he's like this performance is up there with Heath Ledger's Joker. Like, he's just that menacing.
Yeah. Like, I know that's sacrilege for a lot of people to say, but like I think Austin Butler has reached that in this movie. I think, man, it's gonna be tough next year. Like, who are you giving the Oscar to? who are you giving for best supporting role, best main lead, best lead? Like, who's gonna take it? Because everybody was great in this. Mostly everybody was great in this. Like, man, like I complained so many times, and I'm sure a lot of people have complained about this, like, that the Oscar has such a bias against genre films. They cannot deny this film.
Well, they gave the first one like 8 Oscars, I think. It won quite a bit.
Oh yeah. Like,
I don't think 8. I think it won like 6. I'm not sure.
But yeah, as far as I'm not expecting Dune Part 2 to win Best Picture, but as far as like,
I think it could.
I mean,
depends on how the rest of the year goes, I guess. But
yeah, it depends how the rest of the year goes. But like, I'll be surprised. I'll be happily surprised, because like that's like the first like science fiction film in like years to win Best Picture. I don't even remember. Was there any other like science fiction blockbuster that won Best Picture? Is there anybody in the chat that knows that?
I'm not sure. Did Interstellar win Best Picture?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure if it did, but I don't know. I think this does have a chance of getting Best Picture. Let's see how the rest of the year with its releases go. I don't think there's really anything we'll see.
You'll see. But I definitely think this movie has a chance of being nominated
Yeah,
for best film, best
cinematography.
cinematography, supporting actors, lead actors. Like, like this. This is one of the films that will help break the stereotype of like, oh, all science fiction blockbusters are the same. No, you cannot deny that now, because like the performances here are great. The story here
Yeah.
is well written. Like you cannot be biased against these films for anymore. But anyway, continuing on. Josh Brolin is back. He was good. Pretty much the same as I had. I pretty much liked him equally as much as I liked him in the first film. Yeah, I mean, not too much to say, really.
Mhm.
But yeah, he was really good.
There was something that they didn't include in the book. Gurney in the book thinks Jessica is the one who betrayed Duke Leto and got him killed, basically. And Defeer tries to kill her in the book, and Paul consoles him and all that. I think that would have been a good scene and a good breakout scene for Josh Brolin.
That would have been it. That would have been cool. But like, why would he suspect her of being responsible?
So they didn't have any idea that, they didn't suspect anyone really. They didn't know. The only people that knew, Dr. Yue, which is the guy who poisoned him, in the first one. They had no idea that anyone had the ability to do that because they were just so loyal to the House Atreides. But Jessica's a Ben Gesserit witch, so people are always skeptical about the Ben Gesserit.
Yeah, that seems to be like a thing for
Yeah.
sure. Like we don't know if the Bene Gesserit are good or bad.
They're always plotting.
Yep, they're trying to take over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, that would have been interesting if they added that, but I didn't think it was 100% necessary.
No.
Though there was already like you already felt like there was a little bit of conflict with him, and like the he doesn't fully believe in the prophecy either, and like he just wants Paul to assume power to once again get revenge for them killing Duke Leto Atreides. So it's like, ends justifying the means, so it's already there. And I don't even know if I was gonna say that, but never mind. But I lost my train of thought there. Sorry, guys. But anyway, okay, so Florence Pugh as the princess, she was really good. I mean, can you say anything bad about Florence Pugh? Like, she's never done a bad performance.
I definitely can.
Wait a minute.
It wasn't enough. I can't wait for part 3.
Oh,
well, it's going to be. Right. That's going to be interesting too, because her character has a great leap of, a darker path.
Well, it already seemed they already kind of like laid it out like she has some devious stuff going on in the background with the Bene Gesserit, so it does.
Well, she is a Bene Gesserit.
Oh yeah. I keep getting it. Yeah. But yeah, it's like there's already like an overlooming thing of like she's not fully a good person, and she has her own stuff going on in the background, trying to secretly take over or whatever. But yeah, but yeah, she was really good. She was really good.
Yeah, she basically gets cucked.
Yeah.
That was okay. I just want to talk about this love triangle between her and Paul and Chady. Like, that just came out of nowhere. Like, he's just gonna take her hand in marriage. Like, but wait, I thought you were all about Chady. Why are you doing this? Like, what?
Well, basically,
you just met this woman.
It's a political move. You know, he's using Ireland to pedestal him to be the emperor. She's like his side chick. Like she's there for mere presence and political, kind of stance.
It's
I don't.
crazy though because like the houses still don't accept that. Like, because there was that little line at the end that like the houses still don't accept him being like the
Yeah.
emperor or whatever. So, but I guess that's something that stuff that they figure out, after this point, like if they whatever. But
I don't see her character just Zandaya's character staying by him to just be. Well, he's in his political marriage. I don't see her staying by. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, why was this just like an impulse decision at the last minute? Because I'm wondering why Paul didn't
drink the stuff and he saw the future and he's like, "Oh, this is how it works," right?
True, but it's like, why didn't Paul and Cheney like have a conversation about like, I probably have to take the princess's hand in marriage for that to happen? But
would that have made it better?
Would that have made it better? No, but at least it wouldn't take Cheney by surprise.
That is something in the book that Paul says to her when that happens, because it is like a last minute, like, hey, Paul is like, hey, like, if you don't want an all-out war, because I will destroy you, I'll take your daughter's hand in marriage and I will reclaim the throne, and you will, be succumbed to the planet that you mutate your army, basically. And so in the book, Paul reassures Chani that, regardless of what happens with the marriage, Ireland will not get an heir. She will not get a child from him. And that's something that, they have a lot of more conversations, which I think would have been nice to have in the movie.
Yeah, because like just the way they ended the film, like it's just like another misunderstanding, and she's angry, and she doesn't go with Paul, and it's like that. I felt like that's something they easily could have avoided. Now, I don't know Denis Villeneuve's overarching plan with this and Messiah, so maybe when we see Messiah, it'll all like make sense. But it's just like, I don't know. I felt like that that could have been avoided. I don't know. And like I felt like I heard that's like one of the criticisms that that fans of the book had, like with the ending, with like how Cheney is like not by his side as much as she is in the book.
I'm not sure where they're going to go with that, because I see again. I'm trying not to jump around Messiah because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Right.
But there is a significant time jump. So I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with how this ends, and her being by his side again. I'm not sure if they'll do that. So I'm curious of what they're going to do.
That's interesting if they don't do that, because like, well, okay, we'll talk. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm really trying to talk about that. Yeah. I know, but okay, Christopher Walken as the Emperor of the Universe. Emperor.
Your father was weak.
Was that line in the movie?
Yeah.
I don't remember it being in the movie.
Yeah, he says your father was weak. His New York accent. It was great.
Yeah. So he was like, I think, and for a lot of people, he was like my biggest question mark as far as casting. I like Christopher Walken, but like, he felt kind of out of place here. At least
who do you think is a good pick for the Emperor? I'm curious.
I kept hearing rumblings like a Christian Bale or
Oh, thank God, no. I mean, I like Christian Bale, but people, no, I like
or like a
After what was his role in Thor 4?
Well, that wasn't his fault. That wasn't his fault. Yeah, that wasn't his fault. In Thor: Love
It
and
was
Thunder.
enough of his fault.
No, it wasn't. Like I don't know. Like who do you believe is the who would you believe that looks like they they could be the father of Florence Pugh?
Yeah, that's fucking true. He must have had her when he was 60. So goddamn.
This thing.
He's
But
old as
like,
hell.
but I do know that Denis Villeneuve is very particular when it comes to his casting. So like, I'm sure like when he picked him for a reason, right?
Yeah, I can see this casting being something because he's been wanting to do this since he was a kid, so I can see that being one of his like dream castings for the Emperor.
But I thought he was perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have as many big moments as I thought he was going to.
Yeah, he's kind of what I like about and what I don't like about the Harkonnens and the Emperor and the Guild and all that. It's like, yeah, they seem like this big presence, but really, when they come down to it, face to face with Paul and the Fremen, they're nothing. Like they're belittled cowards at that point, you know. And I kind of like that message, you know, about like imperialism and stuff like that. But you know, I felt like in the book and in the movie there could have been more to convey, you know, just how methodical they are.
Right. Especially because like because they talk about him so much in the first movie. Like he's like this overlooming like presence
Yeah.
in here. And so like I was expecting them to like a little bit of more of a payoff with that cuz like but I don't know. Once again, he wasn't bad.
No.
But I was just like for them to talk about the Emperor so much, I was just hoping he would have more of he would have more of to do, I guess.
Well, I think he shows up more because he is secluded to his planet, and he lives for a while. I don't know if Christopher Walken. I don't want to put anything out there and pull a red letter media, but you know he's up there. So I don't know if he'll. By the time Denis wants to make Messiah, I don't know.
Right, like he is. Yeah, Walken is up there in age. Let me look up how old he is.
I think he's like 85. I'm not quite sure how old. He's pretty old.
Holy.
But yet, you know, he looked great in the costume.
Yep, he is 80 years old.
80 years old. Okay.
Same age as Harrison.
He can live another 10
You're
years.
younger than Biden. It'll be all right.
Okay. And somehow Walken's more competent.
Right. I mean, I'm sure he'll be able to do Messiah.
I'm sure he will.
You know, if Harrison's about to be Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU, why not? But yeah, so is that all the characters? I think that's all the main characters. Okay, so Anya Taylor-Joy. Like I said, I don't. There's not too much for me to say because I don't know the ramifications of her character that much in the later books. But like, how did you feel about them casting Anya Taylor-Joy as Paul's sister?
I thought she's a great cast for Aaliyah. I mean, they kept it a secret as long as they could, but when they announced it the week before the movie, I was like, how the fuck are they gonna put a grown-up Aaliyah in? Because I was under the impression that, hey, they were going to include Aaliyah in the end of the movie, like it was in the book. And they didn't do that, which I was fine with. But
seeing her at the premiere, I was like, "Oh, she's in the movie, isn't she?"
Yeah, as soon as I saw her, because I was keeping my eye on the red carpet, so I'm like, is there going to be a child actor that they finally reveal and show that who's going to play her? But it was her, and as soon as they did that, I was like, oh, well, okay. So I was kind of conflicted on that, but I think her purpose was utilized pretty well in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see like we don't even know if they're gonna go past Messiah, but do you see her sticking around if they do so?
Absolutely, absolutely. She's she's young, she's beautiful, she has the range to do it. I think she's a great actress. Beside New Mutants, we won't talk about that.
Even though she was one of the best parts of that movie.
She was just a bad movie, very bad movie.
Not
I
the
like
biggest
that
fan.
movie.
What?
I will say,
Yeah, that and Apocalypse are fine for me.
No, not a.
I will say comparing New Mutants to Dark Phoenix and X-Men Apocalypse, it makes New Mutants look like a masterpiece.
You know what? I can agree with that.
But yeah, so it was a surprise to that they had her included her in this universe, and I'm excited to see what they do with her, depending how far they go with this. But
Anthony said, "Get Jenna Ortega or Haley Steinfeld and Dune. You'll have every hot actress in Hollywood."
oh
Yeah,
my
pretty much.
gosh. If there's so before we talk about speculation with Messiah, if I could talk about some other nitpicks that I have, and they are nitpicks. As far as the hand-to-hand combat stuff, like I do think the choreography is really, really good. Especially with whenever Austin Butler and Timothy Chalamet are fighting, like it's magic. They look so great. I love the fast pace movement with the knife fights too. That's some really intense stuff for sure, and especially with their final fight at the end. Really would like that. But there's too many quick cuts. Villeneuve has not mastered that. As far as the too many quick edits, because that was a similar thing that I had an issue with in part one when Jason Momoa is fighting. We know Jason Momoa can fight, but there's too many quick cuts. Is we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that, Villeneuve. Just keep the camera still. Don't just keep it still. But that was one little nitpick that I had. Yeah, I already talked about they could have developed the romance a little bit more. The baby stuff was weird, but I know that's building up to stuff that will happen later.
Here's something I'm curious on, because I know you guys too aren't really aware about the books and stuff. I'm curious how you feel about the vision that Paul had in the first movie with him, with the golden mask, murdering all the Harkonnen. How do you feel about that? Did that moment hit for you when Zendaya was the actual one who, did that convey what Paul's visions really are, basically, to you?
So, with all of his visions, I get an idea of what possibly could happen in the future and what he's afraid of. But as far as getting a clear vision of what's going to happen, no, I don't. Because they're giving us a whole bunch of abstract scenarios that feel like they don't connect to each other, other than the fact that Paul is responsible for anarchy in some way. So it's the general fear that Paul is going to be responsible for bad stuff to happen, I got that. But as far as what specifically is going to happen, no, I don't.
I have no idea. I have to rewatch the first one too. It's been so long. I only watched it once, so I got to rewatch it.
Because there's that one shot. I think that what you're referencing with Cheney is that her face is all burnt and she looked like she's about to die. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Well, that's a vision that he gets of her dying, I think. Yeah, I totally forgot about that scene until someone mentioned it. There, like you guys mentioned, I was just so enamored and looking at the scale and the beauty of the film, I was forgetting what they were saying, what was going on. So I definitely need to rewatch it.
Right. Like I said, like there's so many like abstract, like high concepts in here that like they're just giving you like glimpses of it. They're giving you like they're teasing you. They just continue to tease you, but not fully go into it. Where it's like, I just want to know more of that, man. And like I'm aware that like in like they're supposed to have kids together, and I'm just wondering how that's going to play out, especially with how they changed the ending, and like whatever these visions that he's having, what does that mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, they do have a kid, and like I think we talked about Leto earlier, baby Leto that gets killed.
Yeah,
and that's what kind of sets him off on the rampage at the end of the movie, or the book per se.
Now, what about the Leto that I'm not gonna spoil it. The Leto that goes on to do some crazy stuff in the later books.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Leto too.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that is Chani and Paul's son.
Okay. So like I'm wondering just like how that's going to play out as well. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. The in the beginning of the movie, you know that those Harkonnen uniforms that they had that looked very stormtroopers slash spaceballs, which I was like really like that aesthetic too.
I don't know if it's just me. This just might be a nitpick for me, but every time I see the starter car float down, you're right, in the first one and this one, I can't help it. I'm like, those are wires. Like I know they're coming down on wires. I don't feel like they represented that technology, you know, as believable as it looks, you know. I think
really?
that's just me. I don't know. Yeah, I think the way they float down looks kind of campy a little bit. I don't know, but it looks cool.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a lot of campy stuff in it, but like there's definitely some campy stuff that happens in here, like
science fiction camp, yeah.
Science fiction camp, yeah, for sure. I'm still trying to get used to like that walk that they have to do across the desert to not get eaten by the sandworms. I'm like, they really got to do this dance to walk.
Yeah, it does look quite silly.
But hey, they commit to it. They take it seriously, so yeah. I'm happy about that. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm really dying to talk about the speculation with Messiah. I don't know how they're gonna do it. That's like my main thing. I don't know how they're gonna do Messiah because, like, as I said, like, because people are so invested in this hero's journey that's not supposed to be a hero's journey. Like I'm just wondering, like, if they go through with Messiah, like, are they going to lose a lot of people with what happens in that installment?
Yeah, I think they do risk a lot. I do trust Denis to make a faithful adaptation, regardless. And I do trust him to make some changes that are necessary. But there are some things that I'm like, yeah, if you might like these actors and they might look hot in this movie, but just because they look hot and you like these actors does not mean you're gonna like these characters and what they're gonna do, you know?
Yeah. And also here, the Messiah, there's not a lot of action again. Like it's more it's more of like a conspiracies and manipulation tactics and stuff like that. So I'm wondering how they're going to cross that hurdle because this movie is so action heavy.
Well, not to mention too, I'm not sure how the runtime will be. I think it'll be substantially shorter because Dune Messiah is like 300 pages compared to the 600 pages that is the first book. So, you know, I can see
we're about to get a 2 hour and 20 minute movie. Hey!
which I'm okay with. I'm okay with any time. Um, I will say I am kind of getting tired of 3-hour movies, but this one, I will say this one, I did not feel like 3 hours passed watching this.
So I will say I was never bored in this film, but
Yeah.
I like, and like, you know, the pacing was a lot better for me, but like I did still feel the length of this movie. Like around the time um when Josh Brolin appeared, that's when I started to feel the length of the movie a little bit.
I can see that. Yeah.
But yeah, like you, I am kind of getting tired of the of movies being like 3 hours or longer. Like, not saying like the Batman and Avatar: The Way of Water and the Snyder Cut, like all of them I enjoyed, but like
Yeah.
all of those movies, I'm like, did they really need to be this long? Like they really don't. And it's like, I know Dune has a lot of stuff to cover, so it's like I'm accepting them making it this long, but it will be, you know, refreshing, at least for me. Like if Messiah is not as, you know, not as long, that we possibly could get a shorter Dune movie.
Which I'm
But,
fine with.
but I am wondering, like, you know, since Messiah is not as action heavy, like I'm wondering how they're going to handle, you know.
Well, I do see, because I did mention there's a time jump in Messiah. There's approximately like a 12-year time jump.
12-year time gap. So
You know, so
yeah.
I think there's a lot of room. Because that's what I'm interested too. Because at the end of this movie, they're like, "Oh, the Holy War." You know, the ships leave the orbit and Chani rides on her worm. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, are they going to show the Holy War, or are they going to blue ball you like the book did?
See, yeah,
so I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering. It's like do you think he's fully going to commit to the time skip, or do you think he's going to shorten the time skip, or we might not even get a time skip at all?
I think they will, because they did shorten this movie. That's something I don't like. It's not a criticism. This is something I do not like about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they changed the events to 6 months over the course. In the book, it's like 3 years, which I feel like the 3-year impact creates a lot more, you know, I don't know. It creates a lot more time, and you kind of understand more. Like, yeah, they've been fighting for years, you know. They've been doing this for, you know, hundreds of days. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the 6-month thing was kind of not stupid, but I don't know. But I understand they didn't want to include Aaliyah, which no one has asked him about yet. I want to know why and what his decision process and why they chose to cut out Aaliyah's role in the film and condense the time period.
Right. Do you think they'll be able to include her in Messiah anyway?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think she plays a pretty big role in Messiah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if he does do the time skip, do you see them recasting the roles or making them look older?
That's something I was thinking about too, because Timothée Chalamet, you know, he can pull off Paul Atreides, because Paul's supposed to be 15 years old, you know, and he pulls that off. But by the time, you know, I don't know. I think this performance kind of secluded any like suspicion that he wouldn't be able to do it, I think.
Is this the only thing? Like, if they do commit to the time skip, like they gotta put a beard on him or something. If there's, you know, 12 years go by,
put some wrinkles on him.
Yeah, exactly. And then Zendaya, you gotta do the same thing with her and Florence Pugh and stuff like that. So it's like,
well, the thing is too is in the books, you know, your skin's much more dry, and that's one complaint too in the movie. I will say, this is a nitpick, a very small nitpick. They all look a little too clean for living in the desert.
Exactly. Do they even take baths? Probably not. They probably smell really bad. They probably look funky, but they look like
They
freshly
shit
put
in
on
their still
makeup.
suits.
Oh,
That's something they don't mention in the movie.
oh,
They shit in those things.
no, no. I'm glad they did not talk about that because that is disgusting. I already wondering like that when they were like traveling and stuff like that because like, okay, they don't have water. They
They
don't
treat it as sacred, so
right like so they don't. I don't think they clean
they're not gonna
themselves.
walk. Yeah,
Like oh, they probably smell really
smelling right.
bad. Like how is Paul
You
and
get used to it. You get used to it.
they get used to the smell, I guess so. Like how does
Yeah.
Paul and Shady have sex with they? I know they smell really bad.
Oh yeah, that sex scene must have reeked.
Yep, man.
How'd you guys feel about that? I felt that. How'd you guys feel about that? Like in the pacing, in terms of that.
It was well. I already said like their romance was. I felt was a bit rushed. So
Yeah.
like when they just went and had sex, I was like, oh, okay, we're here now. Okay.
I'm good with it.
I think that was their answer to like she'll be pregnant by the next movie. But what were we gonna say?
Oh yeah,
I'm
that's
good
probably
with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too when they had sex. I was like, okay, then yeah, that's probably how she got pregnant. You know, unless they do like a thing in Messiah where they talk it over and they make up sex. I don't know, but I don't know. But wait, then you still have to like wait 9 months to see the baby getting born. So I guess that wouldn't really make that much sense if they did do that. But
Yeah.
But wait, then we also got to see like. Oh, I can't spoil that. But like, I don't know, man. It's just like.
Well,
It's gonna be interesting
yeah,
how they handle it.
I don't want to say what happens.
Yeah.
To a few characters.
Yeah. It's
But
like,
I don't like if you like Paul Atreides, like I don't think you'll like what happens in the next movie, especially how I don't know. It'll be interesting.
yeah, yeah, it's like it definitely. I definitely think Messiah will be like the the end for Paul, but not the way that people think. So I'm just hoping that people will be prepared for that.
Not only that, but a lot of characters kind of show their true colors in that book.
Yep. And without spoiling, the true face of Dune is Duncan, Idaho. That's the true face of Dune. That's what I'm just wondering if they go further than Messiah. Like I don't know. I don't know. It's just gonna be very interesting to see where they go from here. Do you think, in your honest opinion, as someone who has read the book, do you, if they did make it past Messiah, do you see them being able to adapt the rest of the books?
I think if Messiah is a big enough hit, the Lionsgate will probably want to try. And rightfully so. If it makes enough money, hey, I think it could do well if you get the right person, the right writer, and the right director.
That's it. Who do you think can follow up Denis Villeneuve?
It's a pretty high bar to me. I know you were saying like you have some problems with Denis, but I personally think he hasn't made a bad film, to be honest.
And it's like, at this point, like, this is Villeneuve's baby after Messiah, because like he's the one that constructed this world. He's the one that understands this world. So it's like he's like the George Lucas of this, of this new Dune franchise. So it's
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like they like pretty much like any filmmaker that comes in after this has to follow the blueprint that that Villeneuve has set.
That's a toughie.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Like, I mean, some
It's
people
Zack Snyder. Why not?
Zack Snyder. I mean,
I was
I was
gonna
thinking
say
that in my
that.
head. I was thinking that in my head. I didn't know if I
Joke.
want to say that out
No,
loud.
I don't know. No.
But-
I don't think Zach could handle it,
No,
unfortunately.
I'm joking.
I love Zach, but I don't think he could do it.
and dude,
If
everybody
anything-
will hate it. Everybody will hate it.
Oh yeah,
If
oh,
anything-
especially from Denis Villeneuve to Zach, that would be horrible for him.
If anything, that's the perfect weird shit for him. It's the most controversial shit that it's perfect. But yeah, no.
I don't know, like.
You
Chloe
guys
Zhao.
ready for human worms? You guys ready for that?
That's
Wait,
man,
what?
man,
Human worms?
dude. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, how are they gonna do that weird shit? Like, are you ready for people to take over empires with the power of sex?
or orgies? You guys ready for some orgies?
Yeah.
Like, we gonna get some weird ass shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be very very polarizing.
You're gonna see Duncan Idaho numerous times.
Yeah, you might end up seeing good old Baron again too. Who knows?
Yeah.
If they go that far, that's far though. That's
Yes.
far.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I think they were very strategic about who they casted because, like, I think they were thinking about the longevity of the franchise. Like, if they want to
No.
continue this, they picked specific actors who they could see continuing on the franchise. So it's
I personally think the best route though is to leave it as a trilogy. The best way.
I mean, to be on the safest route possible. Maybe it is good to stop at Messiah, but
You can do some TV shows,
yeah, like they're still doing that. They renamed that Sisterhood show. I forgot what it was called. Dune, Prophecy or something like that. Or
Yeah, I think yeah.
which I'm interested.
There's a
in
new
watching
game
that
coming
as
out
well.
too.
Yeah, I saw that too. It would be interesting to see how they expand it from here. But once again, it's like, like I don't think Dune should try to. I think Dune should be like I don't want it to be exactly like Star Wars. I want it to be an alternative to Star Wars. So if they want to get more into this trippy, weird stuff, I'm interested to see how they'll handle it. Like, they want to be more art housey and stuff like that. Why not? I don't know, but just like I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting to see how they expand on this if they do.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he's doing because I know he said he's doing something right now. And how much time? He's probably said it'll be 10 years, so probably 2029 or so.
2029?
Or I don't think they can
Wait
make
a
it
second.
long.
The
Warner
third
Brothers
movie's
is not
gonna
going
come-
to. Yeah.
No,
Warner Brothers
no,
is not going to let
no,
them
but
wait till
that's-
2029 to do it.
That's what his time frame was. Like he was like, between now and that time period, like between that time period, it'll be out and it'll be like longer than 10 years. Then I've been with Dune, so after that, he's done. He's done with it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Warner Brothers is going to be like, you're going to have this movie out by 2026. But even though that would also help with the time skip stuff, if he does wait that long to do Messiah, and then like the actors have gotten older. But,
Anthony asked if the books get bad after 3. The books, from a weird perspective, the books get bad in 2. So not bad in a weird, horrible way. I actually like 2 so far. But depending on what you like and are into and how weird you're able to get.
yeah, that's what we were trying to say, because like Dune is not a mainstream crowd pleasing science fiction fantasy. It's not like it gets really weird, it gets really trippy, it gets really dark, so it's like it's very niche. It's
Yeah.
very niche, you know. So it's like if you like weird art housey, trippy, strange things, yeah, you probably will like the the later books. But it's just like that's why I'm just shocked of how much people are enjoying this, because of how weird and niche it
Mhm.
is, Um, it's so fascinating. I keep going in circles about that, but just like it's just going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to mention before we start closing things out?
See it in IMAX. I got to see it in IMAX.
I would agree. Seeing IMAX.
Yeah.
I don't know about 40X. That experience that I saw looked quite terrifying. So I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a perfect adaptation of Dune combined,
Yeah.
Show me those deleted scenes too.
He's not going to.
I know.
Yeah, but there's that one actor that I recently found out actually like shot like some scenes for the movie, but he's not in the film at all. I forgot his name. He was the leader in the Incredible Hulk. He's about to be the leader in Captain America: Brave New World. I'm about to pull up his name. It's Tyler somebody. Hold on. Incredible Hulk. What's his name? Tim Blake Nelson was in. Yeah, he was supposed to be in part 1, but his scenes were cut out completely.
So I have a theory. Do you remember that character I was telling you about earlier, Count Fenrir?
Yeah.
Basically, Lee Sedol's character in the movie that Fade breeds with.
Right.
That's her husband. I feel like he played Count Fenrir.
That would make
sense. That was disappointing.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see if they include them in Messiah. Just or whatever Villeneuve has planned for Messiah. Apparently, like he's almost done with the script.
Well,
it's already done.
Well, the character Thufir, the Atreides Mentat, dies.
Oh.
So he won't be included.
Oh, flashbacks.
He dies in the first book.
Oh, okay. Flashbacks. But probably not. But I don't know. I guess like I said, I feel like I gotta watch it again too. But right now, I think I will give Dune Part 2. I'll give it. I'm between a B+ and an A-. Let me see. B+, A-. I'm gonna be a B+ right now, but I really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was a step up from the first film. I'm definitely interested in. I'm invested in this world. I think the cinematography, the special effects, the score, all beautiful. The performances are great in here. I'm still feeling like this disconnect that I'm not fully understanding all the themes that these movies are introducing, but I'm still invested in how it will play out from here. But yeah, I definitely recommend going to see this. See it on the biggest screen possible. Get the best experience out of it. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely think this is what the science fiction genre needs right now. As far as just like another alternative to what we're seeing before. And just,
not Rebel Moon.
Man, don't get me started on that again. Bruh, I'm hoping the extended cut is better, but like they shouldn't have even released that PG-13 version. God. But yeah. What would you give Dune Part 2, Bradley?
Um, I'll go on a 5-star score. I'll go. I think 5 for me. I think 5 out of 5 for me.
Oh, you're perfect score.
I think it is like a perfect score for me.
Oh my God, you give it a masterpiece, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it really is like a masterpiece of filmmaking, and just it's on the level. Like I didn't expect them to make Dune on the level of like Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings is the fantasy, epicenter, right? And Dune is the epicenter of sci-fi, and they really elevated it for a film, I think.
Nice. And what would you give it, Max?
Easy 10 out of 10.
I don't.
It's a masterpiece. I can't think of anything that I would want better in this movie. Honestly, I can't think of any. Perfect. There's so much there. It's got lots of layers. There's lots of rewatchability. Everything I want in an epic sci-fi and fantasy. This is what it's like for being a fan. This type of movie, instant classic. Like I got the instant feels while I was in the theater. Like this is one of the ones that's gonna stand test of time.
Yeah,
I think so. I
agree.
But yeah, those are our thoughts on Dune Part 2. Tell us, what did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does it compare to the first film? How does it compare to the other adaptations of Dune? Are you a fan of the book? Or are you a casual like myself? And how did it work for you on the level? Comment your thoughts down below and let us know. Are you excited for Dune Messiah? Should they do Dune Messiah?
Well, I was until I talked to Bradley, and he's like, it's going to be like years.
No. I'm sure it'll be sooner than that.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, are you guys excited for them to do Dune Messiah? Do you want them to do Dune Messiah? Should they go even further than Dune Messiah and adapt the rest of the books? Should they even do the extended universe of the Dune books too while they're at it? Probably not, but see how it goes. Comment down below and let us know. Have you read the extended universe books, Bradley?
For Dune?
Have you? Yeah.
I have not. That's one of the things I want to get into, though.
Okay, I've heard mixed things about about those, but
the Brian Herbert ones.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about, or nothing but not good things about Brian Herbert's books.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to explore those.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to either.
But yeah, we'll see. I possibly will do another video on Dune when I rewatch it and get a couple other people on here that went to go see it and want to talk about it. You do a little bit more of an in-depth dialysis on it. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this stream, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. Don't forget to subscribe to Movie Madness Entertainment if you're watching on my channel. And please subscribe to my channel if you're watching on Movie Madness Entertainment if you haven't already. And Bradley is still slowly working his way back to YouTube, so we'll let him do so along with Austin whenever they come back. We need to get him on some more streams for sure. I want you and Austin and RJ to be on a hot take show. Let's bring the Macho Madness crew back for one night. Yeah,
well, I can bring some hot takes for you.
Oh yeah,
I still got them.
That's gonna be an epic episode if you get Bradley. I remember Bradley's hot takes. Whew.
Oh yeah, I need you, I need Austin, I need RJ. We gonna make it happen. And I'm seeing your profile thing. I'm sure you've heard the tragic news about Akira Toriyama.
Yes, R.I.P. Toriyama-san. It's
for
tragic.
Sure.
I'm watching tribute. The end credits for all the episodes, and it's just
yeah,
so hard to believe.
Yeah, So I will extend the invitation to you if you want to be on it. I am going to do a live stream talking about Akira Toriyama and all the Dragon Ball shows if you want to be on.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to talk about Dragon Ball. It's a huge
Cool.
part of my childhood. Like I'm sure as it was for you.
Absolutely. Like Dragon Ball Z was my introduction to anime.
Same.
So yeah, definitely be playing that very soon. Probably I'll try to do it sometime next week, but like definitely will be soon. So that's something you guys can look forward to. Our Akira Toriyama celebration stream next week, remembering his contributions to not only to Dragon Ball but the anime community as a whole. Tune in for that, and of course more reviews coming down the pipeline. But that is all we have for you, Dune fans, and we will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later, and remember, fear is the mind killer.